Hello, everybody. This is Mystic Brew, Davos Death Rattles. So, I guess, I think they've wrapped it up at Davos. I want to be a little bit timely with this. And there were some interesting speakers. Christine Lagarde weighed in, and I found something out very interesting because somebody asked her about, the collapse of the middle class. She goes, well, it's a yes or a no question. That in developing countries, the middle class is rising. And then she defined what they call middle class in the developing countries. And middle class in developing countries, by their metric, is making $10 or $20 a day. Now, this is from people who make in the millions and some of them in the billions. And just because it happens to be in some other country, they're calling middle class $10 or $20 a day. People who are probably making this $10 or $20 working for corporations that are based out of Western countries making billions. And then she went on to say that, but in the Western countries, the middle class is declining. Anyway, a little perspective from Christine Lagarde, a very lizardy kind of lady. And then we had Joe the Groper Biden saying that what was this? The collapse. Oh yeah, he was ruining the collapse of the liberal international order. So obviously the new world order, they realized, doesn't play very well. So now it's the liberal international order. And apparently the liberal part of it is that they are free or take the liberties to go into countries and do whatever they want according to what they want, and paying off or overriding countries. That's what was behind the TTP and the TTIP, is to allow corporations to actually have to be able to sue countries for if they go in there and trash the country, and the countries try to stop them or sue them, they could countersue and say, oh, you're getting in the way of my business. What is this? I guess I have to put on my glasses. I always write too small when I write my notes. Yeah, so basically, and then I have my own things about freedom needs awareness and competence, and that's what I try to do when I do these videos. Isn't like really to bring the shock and awe. Ooh, what they said. Oh. Really, I bring these things so we get an idea of what's going on there. And the Davos death rattles is really these people were not comfortable. There wasn't the normal smugness. They seem to be choosing their words more carefully because I think they were such an amount of emotional anxiety in them that they really just wanted to say what was on their minds, but the cameras were rolling, people would be watching, and they couldn't really spill the beans. But really, for us to go where we're going, for this popular movement, which is this is the thing that they were really freaking out about, this new populism. And for me, populism just means that people actually have a say in the lives they're expected to live in the countries that they're in. And this idea of people having a say, communicating, across the world by whatever the common language they can communicate in, pointing the finger at abuses, and then Brexit, leaving the election of Donald Trump in the United States. Marie Le Pen, apparently just today I read, is pulling ahead in the French polls. That little vote they had in Italy on December 5th. They're seeing movements that have them rattled and really kind of panicked. I think, I did save a page here. Let me open it up so I can just read it very quickly. It's from Zero Hedge. And overheard at Davos, so many people feel that this is one of the most dangerous of times. Now, this is, basically Davos speak. And apparently this guy, Ian Golden, a professor of globalization and development at Oxford University, said, there's never been a better time to be alive, and yet we feel so glum. So many people feel anxious. So many people feel that this is the most dangerous of times. And I'd have to agree with Mr. Golden. For them and their ilk, it's a very dangerous time. People have seen what you're doing, and they don't like it, and they don't intend to take it anymore. And of course, being led by, in many ways, by the vote in the United States, which is a form of populism, because Hillary Clinton really was the globalist choice, really rattles them. Because one of the things that really, I mean, everybody in Switzerland is armed, but Switzerland's a small country. But the United States is very, very well armed as far as the citizens go. And, the people of the Soviet Union, not Russia, but the Soviet Union, it was Russia transitioning into the Soviet Union, were disarmed first. Mao had disarmed the people. And I mean, really, I saw a metric today. I forget, one of the countries was Honduras, where people are unarmed. It has one of the highest homicide rates in the world. And I think the other one was Switzerland, where I think everybody's required to be armed, at least every adult male. And it's got like the lowest homicide rate in the world. So, not only is there a thing with the populace being allowed to bear arms as far as keeping their government a little bit on the side, provided the people are vigilant enough and informed enough and intelligent enough to keep their government honest, which was really why the framers of the Constitution of the United States had the Second Amendment. It was really a prevention against tyranny. That was the main reason they wrote into the Constitution to keep their people armed. And Ben Franklin, and a few people spoke about the vigilance that is required. The American people have, at least until recently, become quite unvigilant. So the fact they were armed wasn't such a threat. Although we've had quite a few places where they're trying, with what I guess you'd be called to disarm the populace. But it's places like Chicago, where one of the highest homicide rates in the United States is a gun-free zone for the people, that is. Obviously, criminals will always have the guns. Matter of fact, there are certain places, I guess maybe in Texas, where they have open carry. That means it's very obvious you have a firearm. Crime is almost non-existent. So, but it really so there's two advantages. One is it seems to deter crime. It keeps crime down. It's not zero crime. But the other thing is if your government thinks about coming along and murdering a couple of million of you when you're armed, that becomes that's not something you make a snap decision about. Instead, you try the slow ways. You put fluoride in the water. You put all kinds of crap in the skies. You feed people garbage. That's the slow kill for an armed population. And then there was Sargon of Akkad, one of the YouTubers I really enjoy, because he's really intelligent and he's really witty and he's quite pithy. Makes plenty of use of proper use of expletives. Again, I'm not expletive free, but I don't use them with any kind of frequency like some of these other people do. I just use it when I feel it's appropriate. But he made a video based on Theresa May's recent address about a hard Brexit, and really laying out some pretty brilliant stuff. He was kind of letting her speak and then making comments on it. But the name of his video was, are you ready? Make Britain Great Again. And what's that? It's a takeoff of Donald Trump's Make America Great Again. So we're starting, there's this I think a beautiful wave going across the planet. That is what the people at Davos are fearing. And it's about populism. But now you see the adopting of memes. Okay, Donald Trump had the meme, Make America Great Again. Now here's somebody who was applauding Theresa May's the address she gave on the hard Brexit and calling it Make Britain Great Again. So these are the kind of memes that scare the shit out of these people at Davos. I mean, these are obviously ideas that are catching on. Cross-pollination of populism And they don't like it. They don't like it. And that's why I call this video Davos Death Rattles. Oh, and another very interesting thing that came, I guess 2 days ago, the CIA released 12 million documents, and that's at the cia.gov/library. There's a lot of redaction, but this the titles. I mean, you can title in UFOs, and you can title all kinds of stuff, and despite the fact it's redacted, which means there's stuff they don't want you to see, the fact that you can see a paper written about these things means they're not conspiracy theories. I mean, that's kind of probably one of the better things about this dump. I mean, 12 million. Boy, I hope they have a find function. But if an intelligence agency is saying things about UFOs, and then they have redacted parts, well, then UFOs aren't a conspiracy. And that's one of the powers, because so many people now, especially people who've been called conspiracy theorists by families and friends for a long time, now I go, well, why don't you just go to cia.gov and look up UFOs? I mean, I haven't had time to look at it. Looking up chemtrails might be interesting, because that's probably one of the most aggravating things for me, because I can go out on many a day and they're right up there, and people go, oh, that's a contrail. You know, it's not like you can go out there on any day and go, oh, look at the UFO. Oh, that's an airplane. No, I mean, we don't, you don't quite get the UFO exposure that you do to chemtrails. So I find the denial of obvious chemtrails very annoying to me. I'm going to be 64 in a week. So I've been looking at skies for a long time. I've seen contrails for a long time. And I've only been seeing chemtrails for a decade or more. I know the difference. So having some little young whippersnapper or some fluoridated adult my age who just doesn't know what's going on anymore, telling me that they're contrails. When sometimes if you have enough air traffic, you can usually see a jet leaving a typical contrail, as you know, if you can see it through the chemtrails. All right. Okay, once again, I don't like to leave my glasses on because I don't really need them. Okay, so basically Obama's there. It's really kind of funny what they're saying. Somebody was calling the most ineffective or worst president because he had the least amount of bills signed. To me, bills are laws. We don't need more laws in most cases. Those are usually the loss of freedoms. But before I can give him props for the least amount of bills signed, he has passed the most regulations, and regulations are the things that tie you up. Those are the real shackles on you. So anyway, Obama. I mean, was he the worst president? I don't. Best, worst. I think those are polarized terms, and I try to stay away from them. But I think he sucked. He could have sucked more. There's no. There were definitely things could have been even uglier. I mean, there was room for more ugliness. So I'll give him that. I wrote the fall of Aleppo. I mean, part of it is just kind of like when they're just saying about, when you hear people speak on, especially in the mainstream media, very often, like if they're saying, oh, the fall of democracy, that probably means the liberation of democracy, because when Aleppo was liberated, the Western media was calling it the fall of Aleppo. Just completely crazy. Very quickly, part of the new administration, President Trump, was getting inaugurated tomorrow at noon, and hopefully there will be no ugly incidents. One of the things he's been criticized is apparently he has the most billionaires in his cabinet. Now that sounds bad, but when you realize that most people, when they go to Washington as a senator or a congressperson, very, very few millionaires arrive in Washington. Very few Congress people arrive in Washington as millionaires. Almost all of them leave as millionaires. And who is kind of bribing these people to make them millionaires? Billionaires do that. So if you're filling your cabinet full of billionaires, there's a good chance that they're not really interested in a bribe. They're used to doing the bribing. So I just kind of see it as like, these are people who can't be bought. Like, I don't know how many people know that President-elect, President tomorrow, Trump, is only taking $1 for being president. The president normally gets $400,000 a year. Trump is taking $1. He has to take something because it's required by law that he gets paid. And I mean, to close this out, because this will be a relatively brief one, there is a primal fear in the empire. And the empire is the people you hear speaking at Davos, but it's also many of the talking heads on mainstream media. And it's congressmen and senators that are part of the empire, or the globalist agenda. These people are saying such wackadoo things that you can tell it's not, they're coming from fear. Now in Davos, I think there just is a fear of the situation. Some of the fear or lunacy that I hear from some of the people, from both senators, Congress people, and the people on the mainstream media, if I had to put a reading on what is this fear, the people who give them their positions, and in certain cases maybe their instructions, are not happy. And the fear I'm sensing from a lot of these people is the fear of not saying enough or not trying hard enough by the people who are telling them, you get out there and do that. So, but the fear of the parasites is a good thing. I mean, nobody ever, seeing roaches scurry because they don't want to get stepped on, is not a bad thing. It's not, there's no great joy in seeing the fear of others, but these are creepy people. These people have our very worst interests at heart. So to see that they're genuinely concerned there's a certain joy in that. And it's sad. I wish they weren't so evil. I wish they weren't so anti-human, but they are. And so, although I'm not going to do a happy dance, I am not unhappy to see their extreme discomfort. So that'll be it. Death Rattles at Davos Death Rattles. Thank you for I've got a few new subscribers, a few, less than a handful, but a few. Thank you. And if you like the video, please, give a thumbs up. If you'd like to be a supporter, please subscribe. And if you have any comments to me, please comment. I got one comment on the last video. It was a nice one. Okay. Love you all. Bye.